Hello, welcome back to the College Cinephile. My name is Isaiah, and last night I left the theater very confused as to what I just watched. I went in expecting one thing and got the polar opposite, pun intended. The film I am talking about is Cold Pursuit, the latest Liam Neeson revenge tale. At this point, Liam Neeson has done pretty much everything when it comes to action flicks. He has been in trains, he has been in planes, he has been in the city, he has been in the woods, and he has even been a Jedi Master. Now he is a snowplow driver, Niels Coxman, who lives a pretty mundane life in the fictional town of Kehoe, Colorado, when his son is unfortunately murdered by some thugs who work for an unhinged drug lord Viking, played by Tom Bateman. Coxman decides to take matters into his own hands and kill the people responsible, despite never murdering anyone in his life. Since Neeson has done so much of this genre in his late career, does this movie add anything different to his filmography to make itself worthy of being made? In a way, yes? Before I get into my review though, I understand that at the time of this recording there is some controversy surrounding racist comments Neeson made in an interview. I will address that towards the end of my review. Now, I went into this film having only watched the first trailer. I knew pretty much nothing about the source material and the people behind the project, other than Neeson himself. I went in expecting another bloody Liam Neeson action thriller with some comedic elements, because that is what the trailer led me to believe. What I got was a dark, offbeat comedy with some moments of action that, as I said earlier, left me confused when I left the theater. What I didn't know going into this film, that it is actually a remake of a Norwegian film, In Order of Disappearance, from 2014, that was, get this, made by the same director as Cold Pursuit. That film stars Stellan Skarsgård, and the premise is exactly the same, except it takes place in Norway. I watched the trailer for that film after I found this information out, and I kid you not, some of the shots in the trailer were the exact same as the ones in Cold Pursuit. I thought this was odd because I guess the purpose of the film was to translate this movie for English audiences, and by translation they wanted an exact translation, which I guess is okay. I have not yet seen In Order of Disappearance, so I do not know if both films are 100% alike, but I do plan on watching it. But one thing I could say for certain is that Cold Pursuit's comedy style and tone is definitely that of a foreign film. It is very odd and at many times made me question exactly what I was watching on the screen. It's like an artsy comedy like a Wes Anderson film meets a classic revenge blockbuster like Taken. Also, not all the jokes landed very smoothly. My theater had about 5 or 6 people in it, for reasons I can guess why. And there were moments where a joke would be presented and the theater was in utter silence, making for a pretty uncomfortable moment. Liam Neeson gives a pretty bland performance acting-wise. There is a scene in the first act in his garage where I expected a little bit more emotion, but instead it felt like it was the first take of that scene and they just went with it. Action-wise, he is pretty much the same as all of his other action films. There's an interesting element added to his performance, that he has never actually killed anyone before, so he isn't doing any hardcore takedowns in this one like Taken. There is some fumbling around in the first couple of kills that I did actually enjoy. There is also this creative choice they did regarding the death of each character in the film that I consistently liked when it appeared. But after those first couple of kills, the film takes an odd turn as Neeson starts taking a different route as to how he wants to get revenge, which I thought was a really odd choice to make. It disrupted the formula the audience was following, and I think it would have been much more enjoyable if they stayed with that formula. The main villain of the film, Viking, was pretty cartoonish and definitely did not feel like somebody who people would willingly take orders from. There are also 2 cop characters that the relationship works together well as like an older, younger cop thing, but in the grand scheme of the story, they are pretty useless. They are just there to deliver information to the audience about the gangs, and that's it. They are not even involved in the final act, which I thought was pretty disappointing. The final act as well was fun to watch, but for Neeson's character, it was pretty underwhelming. And I would get into details, but spoilers. I know I said a lot of negatives, but honestly, what really helped boost my enjoyment of this film was going in pretty much blind. The story was so odd that I couldn't tell exactly where it was going and what was going to happen next, which did intrigue me. There are some elements of the story I could have done without, such as the inclusion of an assassin and a trip to a ski resort, but this movie overall is not a complete mess. Now, like I said earlier, I was aware going in about Neeson and the current hot water he put himself in. I'm not going to go too much in depth about my opinions on the matter, but I understand where he was coming from, and I think he shouldn't have said what he said, regardless of where he was coming from. Regarding that, you may ask though, why did I go see this movie? Well, you see, Liam Neeson may be the face of the movie, but he is not the entirety of the movie. Many people in front and behind the camera banded together to make this film. An unknown amount of time and dedication was put into making this happen, and it's not right for one man to hurt the careers of these people by tanking this film. Film is a collaborative art form, and so I go to films to celebrate, or in some cases, be disappointed by the final product. That's my opinion though, so if you don't want to see this film because of Neeson, that is perfectly fine. If you do want to see this movie, but are expecting another Taken-like movie, then you probably won't enjoy this one. But if you are expecting an action comedy, you will find some enjoyment in Cold Pursuit. It really helped me enjoy it going in cold, pun intended, but taking that away from this film, it is pretty okay. I would give it 3 out of 5 stars. Hey, thank you again for coming back to the College Cinephile. Hopefully you enjoyed that review. Leave your comments down below on what you thought of Cold Pursuit. And were you taken like, whoa, like me about it, or were you expecting pretty much what you were expecting? Also, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and be ready for some future videos in the future. And thank you for sticking around with us, and we'll see you next time.